next one, because we actually have had some of these pedals to sell for 3 or 4 weeks now, not all of them. The next one is the one that's gone absolutely crazy, hasn't it? This is the one that, you know, just Andertons, I think, has sold 50 of these already in the last couple of weeks. So this is the TC FlashBak. This is the delay and looper.
Exactly.
So tell us about some of the funky features on this then.
Well, there's a ton of different features. I think one of the things I'd like to stress right away is the fact that even though it's a very simple one foot switch button, it actually has tap tempo. And tap tempo is always nice if you want something that, you know, you want delays that are in sync with the music you're playing. But it's not tap tempo, we call it audio tapping. So it basically allows me to tap the tempo with my playing. So yeah, so I basically press the foot switch for a little while, then I can strum the tempo. Or I can do faster stuff if I want to.
That's cool.
So very, very easy, it just works.
Yeah.
So audio tapping in a very small compact delay pedal, so that's a really nice feature. I think the other thing is that the pedal just sounds amazingly good. We spent so much time dialing this in.
Because you've got heaps and heaps of different, you know.
We do.
What is it? I mean, I guess most people will be familiar with tape echoes, lo-fi, dynamic echoes, ping pong echoes, but there's a couple I'm not, analog, there's a couple I'm not familiar with. What's 2290?
2290 is, that's a little hint to a classic delay processor we did around 20 years ago that's still considered the holy grail of delay. So if you've ever seen the Edges rack, you'll notice 4 of those on top of each other. So that's pretty much what he uses for all his delay stuff. And it's literally, I mean, you wouldn't find like a big guitar rig in the 80s or 90s that didn't have the 2290.
Okay, cool.
So it gives you that same sort of super pristine, clean digital delay.
And if people have never seen the Edges effects rack, they need to go and watch a film called It Might Get Loud.
It's awesome.
Yes,
and
it's a really good film. Okay, and so other ones on here, I guess I'm a bit more familiar with. But one of the features here, which was kind of pretty clever and easy to do, was you had this kind of dip switch, or not dip switch, this little micro switch, which gives you the quarter notes, the half notes and the quarter notes.
Exactly. So what I did before with the audio tapping was that I set it to quarter notes. So if I strum quarter notes, I get quarter notes. So basically, what I strum, that's the delay repeats I'll get. Yeah. But you know, sometimes you want to do the Edge trick or the David Gilmour trick or something like that, and get these rhythmic type of delays going on. Yeah. And it's pretty hard to, you know, to actually tap or strum dotted 8 notes. So we make it a little easier. Yeah. We allow you to basically strum quarter notes, and the pedal will repeat dotted 8 notes for you. So we just make it as simple as and easy as possible. So I'll do this again. So, and now I have. Setting on this is dotted 8s, quarter notes and dotted 8s, so it's basically a dual delay. You can hear that if I just strum once.
Okay.
And if you do that in stereo, you will have one coming out of one amp, the other coming out of the other. But we're playing in mono here, so we just sum the both together. Yeah. So now you can do.
Who's kind of like the most famous signature delay kind of guitar player who's done a tone print?
Tone print for these, I'd say most iconic would be Joe Perry from Aerosmith. Yeah. So he really loved this, and he has he's done 2. So he's using a lot of slapback for, you know, some of the rhythm stuff that Aerosmith is doing. Yeah. And he has a tape echo lead stuff as well. So hopefully from now on, when you hear, you know, Aerosmith live doing his solo thing, Joe Perry, they'll be hearing the flashback. A cool thing about the whole tone print thing is that, you know, because we don't think of this as presets, we think of this as basically a signature pedal. Whenever you go into the entire tone print section of our website, you'll basically be seeing videos, you know, interviews with the artists, kind of playing their signature riffs, explaining what they're looking for. So you basically get like an in-depth or behind-the-scenes kind of view to what they dig and what they like and what they're after.
I like these. I'm liking these more and more as the video goes on. So show me how the loop works, because there's heaps and heaps of people buying looper pedals now, so I gather this has got one built in.
It has one built in, exactly. And what we try to do here is just make it simple, because there's a lot of loop pedals that has built-in drum machines and, you know, auto triggers, so when you start playing, it'll start recording. We found is that, you know, simpler is really better when it comes to looping. So this is just about as simple as it gets. So you step on the foot switch once to start recording. When you step again, it stops and starts playing what you've done. Step again, you can do overdubs, and you can do as many overdubs as you want to. Maximum delay or maximum loop time is 40 seconds.
Okay.
So enough to,
isn't it?
Yeah. So it's nice when you sit at home and you want to, you know, play to some kind of chord progression. It's a really easy, you know, practice tool, really.
Yeah. No, I must admit, I only really discovered the world of loop last year when we were doing some Digitech Jam Man videos, and I just realised every guitarist should have a loop pedal just for messing around at home.
A really cool thing, actually, that I've seen a few guitar players do now, if you play live and you're doing sound check, you're basically standing on stage and you're relying on the sound guy to do your, you know, your sound for you. So you can't really hear what he's doing at the front of house. But if you play something into the looper and just let that repeat for your rig and go down, you can actually tell him, you know, this sucks, you got to do this instead.
The bane of every sound man's life now will be the looper. Anyway, we were going to talk as well about apparently one of the really super cool features on the 2290 or a TC kind of famous delay is the dynamic delay. So this is in this pedal.
Exactly.
So tell me about dynamic delay.
It's actually quite simple to explain. The thing is that when you have delay going, especially if you have a little bit of it, it can sound really good, but it can also kind of overtake your sound. You know, if you get too much of it, it's like you can't really hear what you're playing. So especially if you're doing like lead runs and fast stuff, might be a little too much delay sometimes. So the dynamic delay basically just fixes that. So it turns the delay mix down while I'm playing, and it brings it back up again when I'm
So like
playing.
A ducking kind of feature.
Ducking, exactly. So that's one of the features, and it's actually, we call it dynamic delay. We kind of feel entitled to that because we invented it in 2290. I know other people call it ducking delay. Another thing that's really cool from the 2290 is the fact that you can add modulation, so chorus to the repeats only. So in this case we have some tri-chorus from the Corona chorus, exactly the same one, but only on the delay repeats, so that'll give me really nice shimmery kind of tones.
So just so you guys know, that's just the FlashBak. The modulation you're hearing in there is from the FlashBak. We haven't got the Corona turned on as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. We have a TonePrint. Steve Morse has done some really great delay TonePrints as well. And he's using two of those, one for his delay sound and one for his chorus sound only. So awesome. So that's pretty cool.
One of the things you did mention when we were sort of sound checking here, and we said we'd talk a little bit more about it, was that the argument between which is better, true bypass or buffered sort of outputs. And I remember I always thought true bypass was better. Lots and lots of pedal manufacturers would agree with me. And then someone said, you got to go and read this article by Pete Cornish.
Pete Cornish, exactly.
Who wrote about 20 pages on his website just slating this whole idea that true bypass is always better, and that actually sometimes a buffered output would be better, and it just depends on the pedals and depends on the setup and how you want to use it. So, have you got that pedal with the back of it off?
I can do that real quick.
Tor showed me earlier that inside the back of all the is it all the pedals or just the TonePrint ones?
The TonePrint ones, the digital ones.
So not the analog ones, just not the two drive pedals. We got little dip switches here that actually allow you to decide if you want your pedal to be a true bypass pedal or to be a buffered pedal.
Exactly.
So these guys think of everything. So just so you know, actually at the moment we've got everything set to true bypass, but if you read Pete Cornish's article and you kind of think, I'm going to experiment with that and see how it goes, then you can choose obviously on your pedals which setting you have.
Exactly.
And you were saying, of course, what is it the idea when you switch the pedal off? Which mode do you have to be into?
Yeah, so basically, true bypass means that we basically wire, the input straight to the output. Yeah. Not a single component is in the way, so there's no tonal change whatsoever. You basically get what you play in is what you come out.
Yeah.
Buffered bypass, on the other hand, there's a little bit of circuitry. It's all analog, so it doesn't get converted into digital.
Yeah.
In fact, all the pedals have analog drive-through. That means that we don't convert the drive signal, even when the pedal is on. Okay. It's just going straight through the pedal.
Cool.
But the buffered circuit basically means that we can add a few components in there.
Yeah.
And that allows us to basically have the delay ring out even after I bypass the pedal.
Right.
So if you have a delay that's fairly long, we did the whole David Gilmour stuff before with some long delays.
Yeah.
If I bypass the pedal in true bypass mode, it'll just cut
stops.
the delay.
And presumably the reverb's the same.
Exactly. All the pedals that have some kind of trail that keeps on going when you stop playing, they'll basically ring out naturally in buffered mode.
Okay, well there you go. So now you know. So actually if you do end up with a FlashBack or a Hall of Fame, it probably is going to, and you are switching your delay and reverb pedals off a lot, then buffered mode is probably actually going to work better for you than true bypass.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have like long cable runs, if you're playing on a huge stage, buffered is sometimes better because the cable will add some capacitance to it, and it'll basically make your sound darker and a little weaker, and that won't happen with the buffered mode. So let your ears decide what sounds best, I guess.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last pedal in the chain here.
That's the only one we don't have.
Okay.
This is the only one in existence right now.
The last pedal in the chain is the Hall of Fame Reverb pedal. We have to check out some close-ups of that because we haven't got a spare one. But basically, same idea really as the delay pedal. So you've got lots of different types of reverb, whether you want authentic vintage sounding reverbs, spring reverbs, that sort of thing, or more clinical sounding modern reverbs. There's the TonePrint setting as well, so you can download your favorite artist's reverb sort of setting. Pretty much, decay, tone, effects level, pretty much all the sort of effects that you would, or controls you typically have. Don't forget also you've got your stereo in and your stereo out, so you can use this as the last pedal in your chain if you need to. We've actually got all these pedals going into the front end of this amplifier. Typically speaking, I think if you were going to buy the delay or reverb pedal and you had an effects loop on your amplifier, that's probably where you'd use it.
Exactly.
One of the things I wanted to show you guys just how good the spring reverb was in this Hall of Fame was to basically just do a real quick thing where we compare the reverb in this Fender Supersonic, so it's a genuine spring reverb, I think even probably a tube reverb in here as well, to the spring reverb in the Hall of Fame. So here's the dry sort of sound. And here's a nice little John Mayer riff with some reverb from the Fender amp. And here's the Hall of Fame reverb. It's really authentic sounding reverb. And actually, one of the things you may not even pick up on the mics here is the reverb on the Fender is actually a little noisy as well, and the reverb on here is really silent. So, killer sounding reverb pedals. Let's just pick one of the sort of bigger reverbs, or more stadium-y type ones.
This is huge. That would be the.
Bit over the top for?
No, it's fine. It's just for if you play like ambient music and stuff like that. That's definitely.
That's the church reverb.
That's a giant reverb.
Giant reverb.
One of the things that's nice to is, the tail is just totally pristine, ringing all the way out. There's no kind of weird artifacts or something like that. But something a little more maybe usable for regular type of stuff would be the Hall. We kind of designed the pedal so that you set everything at 12 o'clock, you get a pretty good starting point as to something. So, great for... Lots of reverb, but still something you'd use for that kind of hero solo that you might get a chance to play from time to time.
I've really enjoyed it today. Really appreciate Tor coming in, doing the stuff. I think I just broke his finger there. Made a funny clicking noise. Do you need your fingers to use your...
No.
That's fine. So yeah, do come to the Andertons website to find out more about these pedals. I hope you've enjoyed the demo. Thanks again to Tor for coming in, and we'll see you next time.